By the ancient Greeks, the authorship of their two great epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, was ascribed to Homer. Tradition as to the birthplace of this poet varied greatly, but the place most favored was Smyrna in Asia Minor. It was related also that the poet was blind, that he made his home on the island of Chios, and that he died in Ios, the siege of Troy, which forms the subject of the Iliad, and is the occasion of the wanderings of Odysseus, is unknown to history. Modern archaeological research has indeed unearthed in Asia Minor a site which may plausibly be identified with the Homeric city, and it is entirely possible that here there once occurred a struggle between two peoples inhabiting the shores of the Aegean Sea. Whatever may be the truth as to the method of composition of the two epics, it may safely be surmised that they were preceded by a mass of legend that had in time gained a certain amount of cohesion and become in a sense national, but the constituent elements of this legend would have come together from a great variety of sources, and many incidents in both poems can be paralleled in the folk tales of widely scattered peoples. Thus the story of the blinding of the Cyclops, Polyphemus, is found as a separate tale in several countries where no Greek influence can be traced. The adventure in the Isle of Circe appears in an Indian collection of tales. The descent into Hades is told by the South Sea Islanders. And the central situation of the return of a far-traveled warrior to a wife who fails to recognize him occurs in stories all over the world. In the Odyssey, these and 100 other incidents are combined into a single plot of the most admirable structure, with almost perfect unity of atmosphere, the whole being placed in the social setting of the kingly age of Greece. Until comparatively recent times, it had been all but universally believed that both the Iliad and the Odyssey were the work of a single author, who conceived and executed the whole plan of each. But in 1795, F.A. Wolf argued that in the 10th century B.C., when he supposed the poems to have been composed, writing was not used by the Greeks for literary purposes, and that therefore they must have been handed down orally and so have undergone many changes. The unity which he perceived in both epics he conceived to have been due to the art of later revisers, working upon more or less detached poems by various authors. Since his time, controversy has raged over this Homeric question, and there is yet no prospect of agreement. The extreme view that the poems are mere aggregations of separate lays of different authorship is falling out of favor, no two scholars agreeing in their analysis of the epics into their supposed constituent lays. On the other hand, it is admitted that there are clear evidences that parts of the poems belong to different dates, and the tendency is to credit the composition of two shorter epics dealing respectively with the wrath of Achilles and the return of Odysseus to an author of great artistic genius, and to conjecture that episodes were added by imitators now at this point and now at that over a considerable stretch of time, bringing them finally to their present form and length. The 24 books of the Odyssey fall naturally into 6 groups of 4, though these are not to be regarded as involving breaks in the structure, and a short account of each of these groups will serve as a guide to the contents of the poem. The first 4 books are occupied with the adventures of Telemachus, the son of Odysseus. When the poem opens, it is the 10th year since the fall of Troy, and Odysseus has not yet returned to his home in the island of Ithaca, but is detained in Ogygia, an island in the west, by the nymph Calypso. Meantime, at home, his wife Penelope is beset by suitors who feast riotously in the house of the absent warrior. 2. Failing in an attempt to get the Ithacans to help him to assert his rights, Telemachus sets out for Pylos under the guidance of the goddess Athene, who is disguised as mentor, a friendly chief. 3. Nestor, the aged king of Pylos, receives them hospitably, and while he is banqueting his guests, the supposed mentor vanishes, and it is recognized that he was the guardian goddess of the family. That he was the guardian goddess of the family of Odysseus. From Pylos, Telemachus sets out for Sparta, accompanied by the son of Nestor, Pisistratus. 4. In Sparta they are received by Menelaus and the famous Helen. Now restored to her husband and learned that Odysseus is in Ogygia, Telemachus decides to return to Ithaca, where the suitors are plotting his death. The second group treats of the wanderings of Odysseus between the island of Calypso and Phaeacia. 5. The gods, persuaded by Athene, sent Hermes to order Calypso to let Odysseus go, but at sea his enemy Poseidon, the sea god, wrecks his ship, and he is saved by a veil, which the goddess Ino gives him, which buoys him up till he comes to the land of the Phaeacians. 6. While the exhausted hero is sleeping by the shore, the princess Nausicaa comes to the river mouth with her maidens to wash linen, and after their task they play ball and awaken the sleeper, who asks their pity and is directed to the city. This scene is one of the most charming in the poem. Arrived at the city, Odysseus is received by the king Alcinous and narrates his recent adventures. 8. The Phaeacians are called together and offer the wanderer a ship to carry him to Ithaca. Games and a feast are held, and at the feast the blind Demodocus sings of the siege of Troy and draws tears from Odysseus, who is persuaded to tell his wanderings since leaving Troy. In the third group, the narrative is retrospective. 9. Odysseus tells of his visits to the Cicones, to the Lotus Eaters, and to the country of the Cyclops, where he blinded the one-eyed Polyphemus. 10. Of his adventures with Iolaus, god of the winds, with the Laestrygonians, and with Circe the sorceress. 11. Of his descent into Hades, and his conversing with the spirits of the dead. 12. Of his escape from the Sirens and from Scylla and Charybdis, and of the eating by his comrades of the sacred kine of the sun, which caused them to perish and left him alone on Calypso's isle. The main narrative is resumed in the fourth group. 13. The Phaeacians conduct the wanderer to his kingdom, but are punished by Poseidon, who turns their ship to stone. In Ithaca, Athene disguises Odysseus as an old beggar and directs him as to how to destroy the suitors. 14. He finds his old swineherd, Eumaeus, who fails to recognize him, and 15. In the hut meets Telemachus. 16. To whom he reveals himself and his plans. The fifth group deals with the return of Odysseus to his palace. 17. Telemachus goes home first, but does not tell Penelope of her husband's return. The supposed beggar enters and is recognized by his old dog, Argos. Oh, he's recognized by his old dog, Argos. Oh. Who gives him welcome and dies. 18. In the midst of the revelry of the suitors, Odysseus has a fight with Eros, a beggar supported by their alms. 19. Penelope, conversing with her lord, fails to recognize him, but tells him how she has baffled the suitors by the device of postponing her choice among them till the completion of a web woven by day and undone by night. The old nurse Euryclea washes her master's feet and knows him by a scar, but is told to keep the secret. Shh. 20. Athene comforts a hero by night, and the suitors are warned of their impending doom by a seer. In the last group, the denouement is reached. 21. Penelope proposes that the suitors should show their skill with the bow of her husband, and when all fail even to bend it, the disguised hero strings it easily and shoots an arrow through 12 axe heads. 22. The disguise is now cast off Odysseus, Telemachus, and 2 faithful adherents turn on the suitors and slay them, and the unfaithful servants are hanged. 23 from the nurse, Penelope hears the news, welcomes her lord home, and learns of his wanderings. Odysseus goes out to a farm to visit his father Laertes. 24. Hermes leads the shades of the suitors to Hades, while Odysseus makes himself known to his father and later is reconciled to his subjects. The Iliad and the Odyssey stand at the head of the literature of Greece and of the epic poetry of the world. And their influence in the country of their origin and throughout the European peoples has been commensurate with their artistic greatness. Historically, they give the earliest picture of Aryan civilization, describing a period of culture of which we should otherwise know almost nothing. Artistically, in spite of their early date, they are the product of a mature art, expressing with supreme nobility and grace permanent and varied yet simple types of human nature, in a language unsurpassed for its combination of directness, simplicity, and beauty. Beauty. The capital distinction of Homeric poetry, says Jeb, is that it has all the freshness and simplicity of a primitive age. All the charm which we associate with the childhood of the world. While on the other hand, it has completely surmounted the rudeness of form, the struggle of thought with language, the tendency to grotesque or ignoble modes of speech, the incapacity for equable maintenance of a high level which belong to the primitive stage in literature. As one that for a weary space has lain, lulled by the song of Circe and her wine, in gardens near the pale of Proserpine, where that Aeaean isle forgets the main, and only the low lutes of love complain, and only shadows of one lover's pine. As such an one were glad to know the brine, salt on his lips, and the large air again so gladly. From the songs of modern speech men turn and see the stars and feel the free shrill wind beyond the close of heavy flowers, and through the music of the languid hours they hear like ocean on a western beach the surge and thunder of the Odyssey. A.L. In a council of the gods, Poseidon, absent Pallas, procureth an order for the restitution of Odysseus, and appearing to his son Telemachus, in human shape, adviseth him to complain of the wooers before the council of the people, and then go to Pylos and Sparta to inquire about his father. Tell me, Muse, of that man so ready at need who wandered far and wide, after he had sacked and Tell me, Muse, of that man so ready at need who wandered far and wide, after he had sacked the sacred citadel of Troy, And many were the men whose towns he saw and whose mind he learned. Yea, and many the woes he suffered in his heart upon the deep, striving to win his own life and the return of his company. Nay, but even so he saved not his company, though he desired it sore. For through the blindness of their own hearts they perished. Fools! Who devoured the oxen of Helios, Hyperion, but the god took from them their day of returning. Of these things, Goddess, daughter of Zeus, whensoever thou hast heard thereof, declare thou even unto us, declare even thou unto us. Now all the rest, as many as fled from sheer destruction, were at home, and had escaped both war and sea, but Odysseus only, craving for his wife, and for his homeward path, the lady nymph Calypso held that fair goddess in her hollow caves, longing to have him. Oh, have him for her lord. But when now the year had come in the course of the seasons wherein the gods had ordained that he should return home to Ithaca, not even there was he quit of labors, not even among his own, but all the gods had pity on him, save Poseidon, who raged continually against godlike Odysseus, till he came to his own country. Howbeit Poseidon had now departed for the distant Ethiopians, the Ethiopians that are sundered in twain, the uttermost of men, abiding somewhat where Hyperion sinks, and some where he rises. There he looked to receive his hecatomb of bulls and rams. There he made a merry sitting of the feast. But the other gods were gathered in the halls of Olympian Zeus. Then among them the father of gods and men began to speak, for he bethought him in his heart of noble Aegisthus, whom the son of Agamemnon, far-famed Orestes, slew. Thinking upon him, he spake out among the immortals. Lo, you now, how vainly mortal men do blame the gods! For as they say comes evil, whereas they even of themselves, through the blindness of their own hearts, have sorrows beyond that which is ordained, even as of late Aegisthus, beyond that which was ordained, took to him the wedded wife of the son of Atreus, and killed her lord on his return, and that with sheer doom before his eyes, since we had warned him by the embassy of Hermes, the keen-sighted, the slayer of Argus, that he should neither kill the man nor his wife. For the son of Atreus shall be avenged at the hand of Orestes so soon as he shall come to man's estate, and long for his own country. So spake Hermes. Yet he prevailed not on the heart of Aegisthus for all his goodwill, but now hath he paid one price for all. What price for all? And the goddess, grey-eyed Athene, answered him, saying, O father, our father, Cronides, throned in the highest, that man assuredly lies in a death that is his due, so perish likewise all who work such deeds. But my heart is rent for wise Odysseus, the hapless one, who far from his friends this long while suffereth affliction in a sea-girt isle, where is the navel of the sea, a woodland isle, and therein a goddess hath her habitation, the daughter of the wizard Atlas, who knows the depths of every sea, and himself upholds the tall pillars which keep earth and sky asunder. His daughter it is that holds the hapless man in sorrow, and ever with soft and guileful tales she is wooing him to forgetfulness of Ithaca. But Odysseus, yearning to see if it were but the smoke leap upwards from its own land, hath a desire to die. As for thee, thine heart regardeth it not at all. Olympian, what? Did not Odysseus by the ships of the Argives make thee free offering of sacrifice in the wide Trojan land? Wherefore wast thou when so wroth with him, O Zeus? And Zeus, the cloud-gatherer, answered her and said, My child, what word hath escaped the door of thy lips? Yea, how should I forget divine Odysseus, Zeus, who in understanding is beyond mortals and beyond all men, hath done sacrifice to the deathless gods, who keep the wide heaven. Nay, but it is Poseidon, the girdler of the earth, that hath been wroth continually with quenchless anger for the Cyclops' sake, whom he blinded of his eye, even godlike Polyphemus, whose power is mightiest amongst all the Cyclops. His mother was the nymph Thusa, daughter of Porsus, lord of the unharvested sea, and in the hollow cave she lay with Poseidon. From that day forth Poseidon, the earth-shaker, doth not indeed slay Odysseus, but driveth him wandering from his own country. But come, let us hear one and all take good counsel as touching his returning. That he may be got home, so shall Poseidon let go his displeasure. For he will in no wise be able to strive alone against all, in spite of all the deathless gods. Then the goddess grey-eyed Athena answered him and said, O father, our father, Cronides, throned in the highest, if indeed this thing is now well-pleasing to the blessed gods, that wise Odysseus should return to his own home, let us then speed Hermes, the messenger, the slayer of Argos, to the island of Ogygia. There, with all speed, let him declare to the lady of the braided tresses our unerring counsel, even the return of the patient Odysseus, that so he may come to his home. But as for me, I will go to Ithaca, that I may rouse his son yet the more, planting might, in his heart, to call an assembly of the long-haired Achaeans and speak out to all the wooers who slaughter continually the sheep of his thronging flocks, and his kine with trailing feet and shambling gait, and I will guide him to Sparta and to sandy Pylos to seek tidings of his dear father's return, and peradventure he may hear thereof, that so he may be had in good report among men. She spake and bound beneath her feet her lovely golden sandals, that wax not old, and bear her alike over the wet sea, and over the limitless land, swift as the breath of the wind, swift as the breath of the wind, swift as the